Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
John Riggio, tennis pro architect, joining us live here on the show, hailing from beautiful New Jersey. Joining us live today to talk more about his amazing career as a pro tennis player. And also, sometimes we dabble in the architecture. He's also that, and he does a lot with that. But he's the man of the hour, always with a good story. How are you doing today?
Okay, great. Hi, Jill. How are you?
I'm doing great, sweetheart. So please tell us a little about who John Riggio is and what you do, darling.
Yes, I talk a lot about my architect profession, but also I talk about some stories of the past when I was a pro tennis player. And today, I have some stories that are sort of going from the tennis stories to where they start to end and where my architect work continues on. So those are the ones I have to talk about today. I have some nice things to tell you. I had to really remember the past and the stories that I ended off with. This is where I was playing at the Sutton East. I had returned back there to play because I was able to get sponsored by Miss Leona Helmsley. Now, last week I was saying the story about how I was given a few matches to play, and Miss Leona Helmsley was there, Miss Gloria Vanderbilt was there, and they were watching the games. And the next thing that happened, I had to remember there is some good things that came out of this. I was able to continue playing for a short time. What happened is uh, I contacted my sponsor, Reebok in Britain, and he was also the representative for Reebok, Adidas, and Mitsubishi Japan. So what happened is the contract, which was 120 million, was a lot. I was 28 years old, going up to 29 years old. And at this time, as I'm going from 29 to 28 years old, Miss Leona Helmsley was interested in negotiating some kind of contract buy. So she and maybe her lawyer were contacting Adidas, and it turns out they really couldn't make an agreement right away. They had to do all things with the courts, show that Adidas wasn't able to get me on the courts, and there was a wait time of I forget how many weeks it was or months, but I had to wait until they showed after the fighting that they really couldn't get me playing on the court. So after that, then they were open for negotiation. But what happened is with the negotiations, they really still couldn't make any agreement. So they asked me if I could call my lawyer, and I was able to call Miss Hillary Clinton again, and she was able to really come through and start to work on an agreement. The first agreement was to have Miss Leona Helmsley add $60 million to the contract. That would make it $180 million. The only problem with that agreement was the percentage that Ms. Helmsley would bring home was very small compared to her investment, especially since the Reebok and
Wow.
couldn't really get me on the court. So since the percentage was so low, my lawyer was able to negotiate a lease, adding on to the value of the contract, but it was paid per month, I think it was. So that agreement was able to go ahead because they were able to take home most of the earnings. And there was a small amount that did go back through to Adidas and Mitsubishi Japan. So from this was a very good agreement because it was allowing me to continue to play. So
Yeah.
this time in 1996, they allowed me to continue to play there. They gave me a new player name. I had to remember this from so many years ago. They made the name John Strong. Miss Leona Helmsley was really impressed with me that I was an amazing, strong player. And that is the name they gave me. So that was the name that they officially had to put on. They had to take another picture of me, another ATP card had to get made. And I was able to legally play and started to win some matches.
Oh
I wasn't sure
my,
how many
John
matches.
Strong.
Yes, so I was able to win matches. I'm trying to remember how many matches. I'm pretty sure I remember at some stopping point it was like 12 matches or more. I might have won more matches. I'm not certain if I was able to win more matches. I have to really remember the exact number. But the only problem that happened is as we went from the year 1996 to 1997, unfortunately, Mr. Helmsley, Harry Helmsley, he died at the age of 87.
Ah,
And this was really big. I think before those months, Harry Helmsley, he did say he was very old. He was saying that to everyone there.
aw.
And so, unfortunately, him dying really caused a big problem because there was a period of mourning for Miss Helmsley. So she wasn't there. So what happened was just by luck, I was able to get helped by Gloria Vanderbilt and some of the people involved with the tennis at the Southeast Tennis Center there in Manhattan, New York City. So my matches were able to continue on for a while. And what happened is they sort of had a certain number of tournaments they were able to watch. So it went from one person in the tennis center to the other person in the tennis center, and they were each able to watch a certain number of my matches. And I was able to continue winning. I think I won, I remember at least 12 matches in total, and they made a lot of money, millions of dollars. So they were doing very good. And then at some point in the year 1997, they told me that they had to stop my playing again. And it's
Mm-hmm.
because Miss Leona Helms was not available anymore because the husband had died.
Ah,
And of course, she was very busy with things at home. And I don't know what was the exact reason if they couldn't assign anyone, but what they did was they told me they had to stop the playing again. And this was by the
wow.
fall of 1997,
Ah,
approaching 30 years old. But I'm still winning just like I was when I was younger. I was able to win those matches. I was still in excellent shape. And so that is when the whole thing ended. So really my contract in total came out to $120 million plus. I don't know if can get considered $130 million or not, but I just considered like
wait,
a
wait,
hundred.
but how much of that do you actually take home?
Well, really for me, it's they would I think playing at that chapter. What happened is I think we really need to play a little longer to really get into some more things they usually give me, the things with payout that would go to my parents and the things like autograph signing, all kinds of other things they usually start to do. And I think this was again at another point where things had to stop a little. So I
But you
think from
hear
the beginning.
stories about people getting signed for millions of dollars a contract and then they really get like $50,000. Is that kind of how it works in your that business too?
Yes, and it depends on if you have an agent. An agent can really bring that up to a
Mm-hmm.
lot. Unfortunately, I was short of not having an agent. One of my friends had me call their agent. I had a problem trying to get an agent. I was able to have a publicist for a short time. That was okay. And I think just thinking about the past, things like the agent, the publicist, things like that. Um, we're really trying to get into something where I could start to do something on my own,
Yeah.
where they can give me the information, teach me how to say uh, make money from the contract or appearances on my own, things like that. In fact, I was able to really learn how the sport
Mm-hmm.
business worked, and that's how I was able to put together these contacts to get my plan going again. So I was able to figure that out on my own. But I think some of the other things that might increase my amount of money I'd bring home and my visibility and things like that were things that they really needed to teach. They sort of gave me one-time things. And so that is what was happening with as far as like developing more of sport income and then more like a permanent sport income too, that maybe didn't have to do with just my playing on the court. Because what happens is at this
Yeah.
point, since my tennis stopped again, and I was approaching 30, um, what happened was the I sort of started to come to the end of playing, and I uh, I sort of didn't hear from anyone again. There wasn't even any playing at home. There wasn't really any family, friends playing
Mm-hmm.
at that time. No pro playing at that time. My contract stopped. And then I was back to where figuring out who was going to pick me up to continue playing. And I think at that time, since I was a little older, I didn't really look around to find a new sponsor. I just sort of stopped. I think that's why I was just saying about them giving me some things. I think one idea, some things to continue some playing in tennis. One idea that Ms. Vanderbilt had was for me to have my own sport shop, supplying maybe some pro rackets, equipment, things like that. They had a little space that they thought about doing there in the Southeast, and I think in the Southeast they eventually made a little sports shop in there. If you walk in right to the left, there's this
Aw.
glassed-in area. They end up making that like a little sports supply, so people come there to play. They can buy a racket if they
Yeah.
want, sweats, things like that. That was made after I was playing there. But when I was
Wow.
playing there at the time, they just had like my own toilet room there and my own entrance into the courts. But this idea was one thing. So that was very nice. She did give me an idea to keep some things going. The only problem with that, what I was told about, was I would need all kinds of business filings to do that. I
Yep.
have to go and get my business uh, certificate from the city and things like that. And in fact, since my training was in architect work, it has nothing to do with business. It was very difficult to figure out any kind of startup. They really they didn't have the internet back then. The internet was just starting off at that
Mm-hmm.
time. It was difficult for me to figure it out. I really would have need a little more help to figure out what to do. So those were some things that I think could keep me around tennis, things like that. Um, but I think what happened is since those things really didn't go ahead too good,
Yeah.
I really was making money on the side through my architect work and doing that completely separate from tennis. So from in 1997, by the fall 1997, I stopped playing the tennis. I didn't really call around too much. I think potentially I could have found another sponsor and continued playing because the whole thing with this figuring out how they could
Mm-hmm.
lease my contract and everything, there was possibilities there. I didn't run out of phone numbers to call. And Ms. Vanderbilt didn't have any other contacts for me. So what happened is the whole thing had stopped and I just sort of started to forget about playing tennis. I got into other things. I started to do things like kayaking in the
Mm-hmm.
Oyster Bay Inlet and got into things like more weightlifting. And I think this is in addition to things like I used to do bicycling. I used to always jog like 6 miles a week and things like that. I was staying in excellent shape. And then at that time, what happened was I even adopted a pet shepherd dog, Chopper, and uh, so from there, I slowly started to just change to just architect work. What I did was I was taking my board exam for architect work. And as the year went in from 1997 into 1998, by March of 1998, I received
Wow.
my certificate for my architect license in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So I just concentrated on making money and building an office. So I started the office from where I was living.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly from there, it took me a few years. I hired an employee, had hired some consultants too, and opened up my office eventually in 2002 in Hicksville on Broadway. And
Yay.
but between that time from
By the way,
19,
we're doing the Broadway Mall, I hear. It's a big thing they're talking about. Google it later.
oh yeah, oh okay, great. Yeah, so then in from 1997 there, in the fall 1997, I sort of forgot about the tennis, and then by like going through the years 1998 to 2022, I gave my tennis rackets to charity. I sort of forgot about it, and then by the time I met back with some professional network, I was really back uh, in Manhattan just doing networking, and I knew all kinds of people like from Facebook and all the different technology companies. I knew all the top people there. And just by chance, I started talking to some other pro tennis players that were from the National Tennis Center from years ago. Some of them I knew, some of them were newer ones. And but I really didn't switch back from architect work back to pro tennis. I remember some of them were saying, "Didn't you win that tournament? Didn't you win the?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah," but I don't. And I didn't say. I just didn't really think about it too much.
Mhm.
So from that, what happened is they sort of were there for like maybe 6 months, and then they were they weren't around anymore. But I continued the thing with the networking and everything. And I found myself on the beach with my new girlfriend. She really didn't have anything to do with tennis. She was involved with
Mhm.
some entertainment. She was doing these movies in New Orleans. They were just like regular movies you might see on television and things like that. She was involved with some entertainment, but she wasn't really involved with any kind of pro tennis or anything like that. And then as I continued to have my architect office, I started to get two employees. And then I eventually met my new wife. She was working as an expediter. And I met her on her last day of work, working for someone else that she didn't even have her ID or anything. And so I made friends with her, and we ended up getting married. So that's really what happened. So the whole thing with tennis didn't really come back at all. And then after we had a daughter together. I adopted her son from China. Then we got a new pet cat, kitty. And then what happened is then one day when my daughter and me we were in the park in Astoria Park, and I was 39 years old, was way overweight, like 100 pounds overweight. I was just looking to maybe start jogging at the track, try to get the weight off. And there was some tennis courts, and there was someone there. He teaches tennis, so we walked over there. And so for $60 an hour, he was willing to give me some lessons. So I went to like the department store. I bought like these very inexpensive rackets, like $20 each. I bought like three, four of them, bought a bag. And I went back there and started learning tennis again,
Mhm.
like I was really only like 5 years old. And I think the first thing he was saying is I hit the ball too hard. I mean, it was happening with that. And so I slowly started to get back into playing tennis again at that point. So I was 39, way overweight, and slowly I started to get back in better shape and has been improving. I think with my architect work, the my office, I continued on. I think there was a little problem in 2008 with the depression in the economy, sort of put a big shake in the work, but I was able to keep my business going. It slowly took a few years to recover, and but I was able to do it. And by that time, I moved over here to New Jersey in Metuchen. So I was here in New Jersey since about 2011 going to 2012, and then slowly I've been able to recover from the economic downturn, things like that. And I did get divorced, but my business is doing okay, and I have some employees now. So I've grown to have four employees on a W-2, which is pretty good. So things
Yeah.
sort of recovering, and they're getting healthy here. I have the whole floor. I'm using the whole third floor where I am now. So things are slowly
Aw.
recovering. And with tennis, I think the tennis memories are really good. I got into the tennis. I have my own meetup group. That's 1,600 people. That's 1,600. And it's really a rotation of that many people. Some of them join, some of them leave. It's slowly getting larger. And I've been teaching tennis, and it's been pretty good. I have some pictures I could show you from the Facebook. Let me just
Sure.
see here.
Sure, sure, sure. Wow. All the stories. You hear a lot of celeb big names. John Riggio. Who knew? Right? Was it Elon Musk? Who was the other one? Who did we talk about last time? Not Elon Musk. We talked about
I know everyone you see on television. Can't believe
Richard Branson it was. He was another
yes,
sponsor
yes,
of yours,
yes.
right?
Sure. Yes, I know everyone on television. I know a lot of people like that. And I continued on even with the networking. I know a lot of the people, a lot of them are, some of them are very, they're shown as very wealthy, as the richest people. Then a lot of people are very important people in um, entertainment and things like high tech companies and things like that. So I know all those people. I know like Justin Bieber.
Impressive.
Yes, you know the actor Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
I knew him when I used to play tennis, and years later I did meet him again. Sure, made friends with him to go play some hockey, things like that. So let's see. This here. Let me just share this. Um, okay, so this here is. Can you see the page with the photographs?
Yep. I see it's popping up now. Yep. There's your Facebook page and they're loading. Yep.
Okay, so it says here still teaching tennis. Let me just open the page. So I think this is my group that I made here, and it's grown. I've had the group for a long time, since 2016. I started the group, and now it's 2024. So I've had it for a long time, 8 years and longer. It was really in the July of 2016, and the group has grown. This is one of my teaching classes. I teach people who some of them never played any tennis before. I usually recommend them to just go to the department store and buy a racket. And it's always good because I always like to see what brand racket they're gonna buy and how it looks. And so that's always good. So they start off buying their own racket, and as they play here, I teach them, and they start to move up, maybe to level 1, 2, and 3, and then I may recommend them to then buy another racket and things like that, and they slowly learn how to play better. And this is everyone here playing on the courts. I have everyone starting off with a lot of singles. And let's see some pictures. That's me on the court. That's me on the court
Nice.
again. There I am playing with the group. And let me see if I think I might have some other pictures. One of them is but yes, my tennis group. Okay, so this is another one. This is under the lighted courts here. And playing doubles. So
Okay.
this is for more advanced players. This is the where we play, and they're a little bit better. They're already playing like at a level 3 or more. This is in Staten Island in the wintertime, uh, where the bubble is.
Wow. Sky's beautiful too.
Oh, this is a video. I don't. Can you see the video go on
It's
this?
going in and out. It looks like you're flipping pictures really
This
fast. There
is
you
my
go.
newest group of learning, and they're doing very good. This is I'm teaching them how to play the numbers as far as they're learning how to um, like play a game. I'm teaching them how to play a game. You start off, it says 15, 30, 40, and then they win the game, and I teach them how to play the game. And so that is very good. So this is the video of that. Here in New Jersey, some of the courts have been renovated recently. And
Hey, that's you.
yeah, so some of the courts have been renovated. So I moved them from one court to another court. Everything seems to work pretty good. And everyone likes playing. Let me just stop sharing this. I think everyone really likes playing the tennis meetup and everything like that. And then as when I came back to playing tennis after 39, I tried some different kinds of things, going to some of the different tennis centers, trying some of their leagues. I even went back to some of the locations that I used to play tennis as a pro years ago. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really thinking about it too much, and I tried some of those locations too. And now with the meetup is working very good, and I've been playing that for a long time. And so I think that is really what's been happening at the present time. And then of course I told you the story the way I went to Japan and met my old sponsors and things like that. So I've been working on all kinds of memories from the past, trying to get more involved with tennis again. And it's been pretty good. I think from the time in the end of 1997, things just shut off. I didn't know what was going to happen with the sponsors and anything. And then things are slowly coming back since I've been 39 years old. I've been slowly getting more and more involved with tennis. And I know it's taking so many years. It's
Yeah.
taking so many years to remember all the stories and to really also playing tennis, to start to play better with tennis and really remember all the different uh, how to hit the ball and play on the court and things like that. It's taking me a long time compared to when I was younger. I know when I was playing those tournaments at the tennis centers, they were saying each year I was playing is equivalent to 4 years or more of tennis.
Wow.
So I think at the some numbers I remember they were telling me some of the players that go around they might play one match per week.
Oh my
And if I'm
gosh.
there at the tennis center, I play maybe 2, 3, 4 matches per day. I'm playing so many more matches that I think even like the last year, I remember winning at least 12 tournaments, maybe more. I don't really remember the exact number right now, but I think I must have played like 6 years of tennis in 1 year's time. So it was amazing when I was able to get going
Oh
playing.
gosh.
I was able to play a lot of years. And now that I was coming back to tennis, I do play on a weekly basis, maybe 2 times or as much as 3 times per week, especially in the warm weather. In the winter, it
Yeah.
slows down a little, but it still is. I think for some reason in the older years, it's taking. It is things are going much slower compared to when I was younger. Things were going
Wow.
amazingly fast.
And I apologize. We're out of time. We're over. We do this every week. We got to watch the clock better, but we get so enthralled with your stories. I'm so sorry, John Riggio. We must go. Would you mind stop sharing the screen? And what we're going to do is just remind everyone how we can contact you. Sorry,
Oh,
John.
okay.
John
Sure. So
Riggio.
you can contact me. Go to my webpage, www.johnriggio.com. That's for my architect work. And for my pro tennis, you go to John Riggio Pro Tennis Player. It's on Facebook and it has all kinds of pictures and stories. You really like it.
Thank you. Thank you. So sorry. We always run out of time, but it was a pleasure having you. See you next week. Happy early Thanksgiving. If we
Thanks,
don't
you too.
talk, have a
Bye.
good turkey day. Bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.